Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs that we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. But with all that said, let's just get straight into it. So Euro USD, like always. So for this pair, not much this week. As you can see, pretty much consolidation there with those daily candlesticks. Bit of a wick to the upside on Friday off the back of some news. But again, it hasn't really done too much to the market here. Coming into the week, bearish, looking for more downside. I wanted to see a pullback to come and retest this zone here around about the 1.01325 area. Obviously, we did not get that. We came pretty close off the news there, as you can see, but we have come back down pretty sharply. We're still having trouble breaking through our price swing low down here at 0.99538. So for Euro USD, I'm only looking for sells. This area here, price is back trading within inside this consolidation. So in here, I'm not really looking to get involved with Euro USD. It's too choppy, too speculative. I'm not really trying to get involved here. This is really my area of value. Broken support was this range over here. Was that range there on the left? Fade to the upside. Nice continuation to the downside. Looking for a pullback. Probably comes around the 0.5, 0.618 if I use the fib, 0.5 there. So nice little confluence to work with. And from that, I'll be looking for my sell opportunities back down to the downside. And I'm expecting to see some new lows. I do have this monthly level that I found all the way back in 1989. That's how far I have to go back to actually find some meaningful support. On Euro USD, as you can see the support here, big drive to the upside over there. I'm looking at us coming back to revisit that area. We could come further as well. We do have this kind of consolidation that gave us that huge move to the upside. We could come back and retest, but I am looking at us coming into this level here at 0.98, which we're not too far away from. So that's where I see Euro USD heading to in the next couple of days or so. Hopefully we can get some upside for a pullback and then take the shorts. But like I said, in there, I'm not really interested. So Euro USD, expecting more downside for this one. Hopefully you can get a pullback going around the 1.01115 area. And then, yeah, shorts the downside for this one. Expecting some new lows at around 0.98582. So that's what I'm looking for Euro USD. Hopefully you can get a pullback, form that lower high. And then, yeah, looking for some more downside back down to lows and potentially some new lows as well. Okay, so now on to USD JPY. So for this pair, again, a little bit of consolidation this week, not much from this one. We are still trading at that key level around 136.5, 137. And we're looking to see if the market basically is going to break through this area or reject it. Right now, it looks like we may break through the area, but overall we are consolidating, so not going to try and jump the gun with this one. If we do break to the upside, I'll be expecting us to come back into those highs. If we break to the downside of the range, looking for us to come back into this key area here. Also lines up with that support there on the left, but we'll be focusing around the 135 mark, a nice area of consolidation. As you can see, big move to the downside and big move to the upside from that same area. So basically just waiting for price to make its move. I'm not trying to trade in this area. It's very, very speculative. The market's ranging. Don't really have too much of an edge taking trades in this area, unless obviously you want to play the highs and lows of the range, then fair enough. But looking for the next swing in the market, it's difficult to work it out if we're just going to be looking at candlesticks, fluctuating between two strong levels of resistance and support. So waiting essentially for USD JPY to make its next move, looking for the break of the low of the range, the retest, and then push into 135. If we break through 135, we could go a lot lower, maybe back into this key area here around the 132.500 mark. So keep that in mind. But if you do break through the highs, we'll be looking for us to push back to the weekly highs around the 139.400 for USD JPY for next week. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So for this pair, pretty much the same analysis as last week. Hasn't done too much. We did pull back, which is what we wanted to see, back onto retest this zone, because long term, we're still looking for price to reach back at these highs here at 1.32237, potentially 1.33 or 1.34 as well. But we are looking at this trend continuing. I'm looking at this being the next higher low in respect to this prior low there, forming that high. So what I'm expecting next, a new high to form from this one. and we're looking at a break and retest of this level or a break and retest of this that resistance there, which we did respect this week. So you can see USD CAD's already giving us a quite big bullish engulfing there. So we could see momentum take us through this level early next week. We'll look for the retest at some point, and then the continuation back to highs, or price might come back down again since this is a pretty strong level. Retest that, maybe double bottom, and then we push through. But essentially what I'm looking for is for us to hold above this level around the 1.29250 mark. I'm looking for buys back up to 1.32237 up there. So if we can get pulled back into this level, fantastic. We can see a very big bullish candle there off the back of the news. We may see momentum just continue and take us to the upside. And if that is the case, we'll look for the break and retest of 1.30500 and buys it back to those highs up there. So very bullish on USD CAD, only looking for buys, not interested in sells whatsoever really. If we break through this level, I may just consider it or reanalyze the pair. But as long as we can stay above that, 100% going to be looking for long opportunities, and either break and retest of that zone there, we pull back and retest that zone that we just had that strong reaction off. But for USD CAD, only looking for buys, hoping to get a retest of that level, and targets will be 1.32237 for next week.
Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so now on to Euro Pound. So this pair is getting a little bit messy now. Price is starting to form some consolidation in this area. You can see it's getting very choppy. Coming into the week, I was looking to see if we can hold the support for a move to the upside. We did respect it briefly, as you can see there, but the market did roll back over, came back again, back over the same level, back under. At one point I was looking to see if we can break through this support and head lower, but as you can see, we respected and actually gave us a move to the upside. So really, I'm going to be treating Euro Pound here as consolidation, because that is essentially what it is doing around that level. So if Euro Pound can break to the upside, I'll be looking for a push back into this key level of resistance. As you can see, really nice key level across there, many wicks into that level. Big false break followed by a big bullish candle, then a big bearish candle giving us that false break. Then we had another breakout, which was very weak, and eventually the market rolled back underneath the level. Then we had a nice little retest with that wick, followed by a nice sharp move. So if we do break to the downside of this range, we'll be looking for this to form another lower high and another push back down into these lows. But if we do break to the upside for the range, then I'm expecting us to come back and retest that same level like so. So basically for Euro Pound, just waiting for price to make its move, and then we can look to follow that momentum in that direction. Yeah, price is just very choppy, so there's no real need to try and trade within this area here. Gonna let price do its thing, and then we can wait to make our move when price becomes a lot clearer for Euro Pound. I'm still looking to see if we can form that lower high and another drive to the downside, but I do want to see this floor cleared next before start looking to actually trade that idea. But yeah, Euro Pound, focus on these daily highs, that resistance there, and this daily support at 0.83, and that resistance at 0.85800. Waiting for the break and retest out of the range, and then we can look to trade to those levels. So for this pair, still looking bearish, which again was our bias. Still looking for us to return back down to these lows, maybe even some lower lows. But we are expecting us to reach this 0.67 level of support again. Looking at this being our new daily swing high, and we have a nice little head and shoulders going on here. Left shoulder there, head, right shoulder, and now we're looking for us to roll over to the downside. So only looking at shorts coming into this week. I did give out two levels for AUD, this being one and that being the second. If this one didn't hold, we did retest this level quite nicely with a huge bearish engulfing from the news and taking us to the downside there. So still looking at us continuing to the downside with this momentum. It would be nice if we can come back and retest this range here. Before the news happened, we were consolidating a little bit, spike to the upside and huge push to the downside. So if we can come back and retest that range for some entries, maybe in the hourly or the 30-minute, that would be nice. And again, shorts back down to 0.67. Or if this momentum is just too strong and we don't see that pullback, we'll look for a break and retest of these swing lows here. And again, same target down to 0.67. Still very bearish here on AUD/USD, and I'm still quite bullish on the dollar, so I'm not really interested in any long opportunities at all. On the low time frames, yes, there may be some good setups, but from a swing perspective, everything's pointing to the downside, monthly, weekly, daily, so only looking for shorts. So yeah, if I can get retest of 0.69500 or breaking retest of 0.68500, we'll look for shorts back down to 0.674 next week. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at NZD CAD. So for this week, not much, but we are slowly rolling over. Again, the target still standing. We are still looking for price to push back down to those lows. We are looking at the market consistently, just placing in these lower highs. In fact, those are more equal highs, but still forming lower highs, as you can see. So looking for us to drive back down into those lows. So coming into the week, I said shorts will be looking good. Basically looking for a retest of this resistance here. Price come back into that level, and then we look for the downside move, so essentially a bit of head and shoulders, but as you can see, the market has been too bearish. It just hasn't seen enough bullish momentum to actually get to that level to have that pullback. It's just been rolling over, so I'm actually going to focus my attention on this level here. As you can see, really nice level of support there, resistance, support there again, and I'm looking for the market to come back and retest this level, give us a low high, and then drop to the downside. So two real areas of interest. If we do see some momentum from a bullish perspective come back into the market, then we'll be looking to see if we can get a low high from there. If not, the market's still pretty bearish and still just giving us these lower highs on the 4H time frame. As you can see, 1, 2, 3. Then we'll be looking for a fourth one to come in around about there-ish, alongside with that trend line, and yeah, catch that next 4H lower high. But if you do see a bigger pullback, then I mean good, because risk to reward will be a lot better, of course. But yeah, same idea, back down to those lows at 0.79 next week for NZD CAD. Okay, now we're going to move on to pound NZD. So for this pair, still trading at that same level, key support where we had that big range above, and now we're still retesting the lows of that range. So I'm still looking at the market coming back to take out these lows and potentially further retest 1.88, maybe push through 1.87, 1.86, because we could see this thing really roll over and start to reverse from a higher time frame perspective. But for now, it looks like we're still just stuck in this pullback. If I go into the 4H time frame, you can see we've got our last major high all the way up there. Drawing the fib out, you can see the market is respecting that nice 0.5, 0.618 range with that key level at 1.915. And from this area, I'm expecting us to see another bearish leg to the downside, right back down to those lows there. So only looking for shorts for pound NZD. We are trading this key level right now, so early on next week, Monday, London session, see what happens at this area. If we're still rejecting, see some nice candlestick formations, can be looking for some shorts. Again, multiple targets, 1, 2, don't necessarily have to look for the push all the way back down to lows, but pound NZD only interested in shorts. And I'm looking at this being our next lower swing high point for pound NZD. So more downside for this one, as long as we can hold 1.915, and looking at push back down to 1.87100 for next week. Okay, so now onto CAD Yen. So CAD Yen still slowly pushing to the upside. As I said to you guys, I'm looking to see what happens at 106. Coming into this area here, we're slowly testing that level and slowly rolling over. So I do think CAD Yen could see some downside. Actually looking at price coming back down to this area, 106, 104, 600 actually. Retest that area, then from there we might see some upside. If we do break through this area, as you can see, big moves from this area, so it's a nice strong area of demand support. If we can hold that area, I do think we can push through, potentially back to highs. Likewise, if we actually break through the resistance, then I'll be expecting price to basically get to highs anyway, because that is a very key level and strong psychological level of 106. So if we do break through that, then I will be looking at price pushing back to highs anyway. But if we do break through this floor here, then we might actually be forming a lower high, respecting the higher time frame monthly resistance, which you can see if I draw it in here. This is where market has tested a few times, dropped to the downside, tested once, big drop to the downside. Now again, we fired a couple wicks into that same area, potentially could drop again from that same big monthly resistance. So if the market is going to reverse, this is an area where I could see that happening. So far, we haven't had much signs that the market is reversing just yet, apart from the pullbacks getting more and more aggressive. But if you clear that level, then the 4H, then shorts underneath that, back down to some of these areas will look good. So break and retest of that, or a lower high somewhere along those lines. Looking for the market to roll over and potentially come back down to those lows. At that point, we'll probably see the monthly level hold and some real momentum come into the downside. But if we don't break above that, we'll look for some buys back up to 107. So only way I'll look for shorts is if we clear that support. If not, only looking at buys for CAD yen all the way back up to 107,500. Okay, so now we're going to move on to pound USD. So for this pair, still pretty bearish, as you can see. Coming into the week, I did tell you guys looking for shorts around this area, but you can see there's nowhere. We didn't get nowhere near that. The market just dumped, consolidated for most of the week. So it's just been far too bearish to actually see that upside move. I still do think there's a lot more downside left for pound USD. I know we're trading at some crazy lows, but the way things are looking, it still looks like this one is still headed to the downside. I've got two key targets here on the weekly time frame, 1.14109. You've got those key, I'm not sure, I think they're all-time lows, they're COVID lows anyway, for pound USD, and we've got the wick bodies here at 1.16588. So that's what I'm looking at the market coming into. We've got this key monthly support here with these bodies, and if you drop to the weekly time frame, you can see we're actually respecting that area as resistance. Strong rejection candle there with that weekly bearish engulfing, and I'm just expecting this momentum to drive us to the downside back down to these lows over the next couple of weeks or so. So yeah, for pound USD, only interested in shorts for this one. I'm still looking to see if we can get some retracement back into the zone, however, but I'm not too sure if we'll get that. But still, we don't want to be selling right at these lows. We want to have our stop loss at a protected area. So sales from the high of the range could be something to look at if you really want to take part in this opportunity. Me personally, I'll be waiting for a push to 1.2, retest that level there. Really strong level, had a strong break, so we come back, retest it, could get a nice reaction from that level. But the reason being, I'm saying we could get some nice shorts here because we might see a pullback, something like this for pound USD, tap into that level and then drop. We might not see that extra move there, but again, I'm completely happy with that. I'm looking to trade other pairs as well, not just pound USD. But for people only looking to trade pound USD, 1.185 could be a little area to focus on for some shorts. Stop loss above the area, of course. Or if we do push higher, then that will definitely interest me. And then yeah, swings all the way back down to those COVID lows at 1.14. And also bear in mind that 1.165 level. And also bear in mind these prior lows here, which the market's still kind of fluctuating on there as well. But as you can see, only fixating in shorts for pound USD and looking at some new lows for this one for next week. Okay, so now on to pound CAD. So this one still falling to the downside. Again, I did highlight some monthly targets we could be looking at. We've got the low of this wick here, which we're not too far away from, and we could be coming to test pretty early on next week. And we've obviously got the bodies here, and we've got this wick all the way down here. And again, I'm not too sure, that could be our all-time lows. If I just zoom out, okay, maybe not actually. All-time lows here, 1884 potentially, or at least that's how far the data goes back here on TradingView. But 1884, some lows further down this point, but we'll just be focusing on these key areas here. So into next week, still everything's looking bearish. You can see the weekly time frame still looking bearish, so only really fixated on shorts for this one. I did say coming into the week, a nice little retest of that area would be nice. However, similar to pound USD, Euro USD, we just didn't see the pullback because the market is still quite bearish. So I'm looking at two areas now for pound CAD. We've got the price swing low here at 1.538, and obviously that same level up there from last week, because we never know, we might see a pretty sharp pullback, come and test those areas, and we might get some nice entries off those levels. So not gonna disregard them, always keep in mind those levels, probably just set alerts there, nothing really to do, and just sit and wait to see if the market can pull back to those areas. But for me, only still looking for shorts for pound CAD. Higher time frames are still bearish, monthly, weekly, daily. So for me, as a swing trader, only fixated in shorts. Like I said, could be some longs, but nothing that's going to interest me really. So yeah, pound CAD, looking at shorts, we've got the first key area here at 1.52400, and we've got 1.517. Probably push the trades to this area this week, depending on momentum. I doubt we'll get down to this area next week. Who knows, the market can do crazy things. But yeah, only looking at shorts, back down to these lows, and we'll probably look for 1.517. We'll see what type of price actually we can get, but yeah, only looking for shorts for this one. So areas of interest: 1.53800, 1.54700. Looking for shorts for next week, and expecting some new lows again for pound CAD. Okay, so now on to pound yen. So this pair again just consolidating. I said last week and this week still the same thing. However, we had this spike due to the news on Friday, big wick here, and you can see a pullback closing bearish, and it has taken out 1, 2, 3, 4 prior day highs there. So we might have had a bit of a fake out, grab some liquidity, and we might be seeing some bearish momentum come back in now, and we could be forming that next lower high, 1, 2, 3, and potentially that rollover. So going into the lower time frames, but firstly on the higher time frames, the daily chart, we are still consistently making these lower highs there, as you can see, consistently lower highs. So I am expecting this support to break unless we do have a breakout through this resistance here, and then I'll be looking for the buys to the upside back to those highs. So that's the only way I'll be interested in longs for pound yen. But since we are still squeezing here, waiting for price to break out essentially, and then we can ride that momentum to the downside. And targets for this one back down to those lows there at 159.447. But I do want to see price break through that support, and also break through this trend line that the price is starting to form there as well. So only really looking for shorts here at these lows. If we do break through the resistance, like I said, that's when I'll start to contemplate some longs. And then potentially look for the breakout and some bigger moves to the upside. But I want to see this level break here at 161, 150, and then from that break and retest and a push back down to the lows there at 159, 500. And at that point, we might actually push a little bit further down to these lows, but we have to wait and see which way price breaks out of. So waiting for the retest of 161, 150. Or the break and retest of 163, 500, and from there we'll make our move, because in this area it's just very, very choppy, and it's difficult to find some good quality trades in this area. So just gonna wait for price to make its move, and then we can follow the momentum. But yeah, pound yen, looking to see if we can break through 161, 150, then shorts until 159, 400 for next week. Okay, so now on to gold. So as you can see, gold looking bearish, which we were expecting. We said a pullback would be nice this week. We did get one there for 3 days, 1, 2, 3. Then Friday, off the back of the news, nice bearish engulfing, and long term still expecting us to go and take out the liquidity out of these wicks down here, which we've been expecting for quite some time. And it looks like price is slowly making its way back down to those areas. So still very, very bearish on gold coming into the week. We were looking for a break and retest of this area here, and we just about wicked into that area. I also gave out this area here as well, but that was always secondary. If we broke through that one, then we would look at that level up there. We tested that level in a very strong reaction, so I'm still expecting us to make our way down. Next targets for gold is going to be this area here, 1715. Nice consolidation and a big push to the upside. So strong support, and that could be where price is attracted next. Obviously, these relative lows here would have to be of some importance if you're ready in some trades there, or you're looking to get involved. That support there would have to be one of your targets. And then, yeah, basically back down to these lows here at 1680 is what we'll be looking for. So I'm looking at two things for gold. We have the consolidation here on the left briefly. So we could come back, tap into that area and then sell off. Or we might come back and revisit that resistance and then sell off. But I am looking at this being our next lower high in respect to that high up there. So I do not want to see us break through those highs essentially. And then if we don't, we should be seeing the lower high form and price roll over. So yeah, gold, only looking for sells, not bothered in buys whatsoever, and just looking to swing this one back down to those lows. And if we do get that breakout, my analysis is correct, we could actually go a lot further as well, but that's a story for another time. So looking for a retest of 1745 or 1765, and targets back down at 1715, and then we'll start looking at 1680s for next week for gold. Okay, now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin looking bearish here, took a hit off the back of the news on Friday, huge candle to the downside. This support level didn't hold. I was talking to you guys this week, if this support holds, we could be seeing some life coming back for Bitcoin, but dollar strength had some other ideas. So Bitcoin is looking very, very bearish at this point. We'll be looking for a push back down to these lows here at 18,800, which is where price is placing all these wicks into. I would expect us to come back and retest that area. I'm not too sure if Bitcoin is on its next bearish leg just yet, because I'm looking at us coming back down to 12k ish into this area. So we could be on that next drive, or Bitcoin could be looking to form another higher low to have a bigger retracement, because we have had this big collapse. And if I do draw a fib from that previous high to this low, there's still a long way to go to get to around that 50% mark coming into this area here. So I'm not writing off the upside for Bitcoin into those areas around 32k. But if this is our next bearish leg, then if we can break through this floor here around the 19k 18k mark, then we will be looking for long-term push all the way back down to 12k there. So for next week, only looking for shorts really. We've snapped through this support here, so ideally looking for pushback down to 19k, little retest of that from the next lower high, and then from here we'll be very, very decisive whether we find that floor again, respect it, and see some life come back into it for Bitcoin, or we just break through, collapse, and just go ahead to 12k anyway. But for next week, from a trading perspective, only looking for shorts. Breaking retest of that prior low would be fantastic, or even the retest of this resistance up here would be good as well, and shorts back down to 19k for Bitcoin. Okay, and last but not least, onto our bonus pair, we've got US30. So US30, as you can see, looking incredibly bearish off the back of the news on Friday there. Huge daily candle and huge 4H candles as well. And it indeed could be looking like we're forming our next little high here on the weekly time frame. We formed the high up there, second, and this could be our third one for the next dive back down to these lows. If we do form lower highs, higher lows in the market, the odds of the market getting back to the respective highs it came from is around 70-75% chance. So there's a good chance, just from a technical perspective, not regarding any fundamentals, that we will make it back down to these lows here around 29,900. So looking for us to continue this momentum to the downside. We've broken through some key areas now. I did say a retest would be nice of this area here. I'm not too sure if we'll do that. If we have the pullback, that would be great. But again, you can see the market's looking incredibly bearish, so we may not even see a pullback into that area. So I'm also going to be looking at 32,500 as well as 32,800 for these shorts. And again, targets, you don't necessarily have to look for a push all the way back down to those lows. There's multiple areas we can look to target there, target over here, target over here as well. So there's multiple areas you can look at for your short targets, but long term I would not be surprised if we make our way back down to those lows and even see some new lows as well. But yeah, for next week, not interested in longs at all. There might be some from a short term perspective, but you most likely will be trading the retracement and where the real momentum is, where the money is moving, it is to the downside here for US30. So only looking for shorts for this one. This is a really nice pair to look at from a swing perspective and day trading perspective as well. And yeah, for next week, we can be looking at 31,700 as well as 31 for targets. Hopefully we can get pulled back into 32,500 or 32,800. And yeah, shorts to the downside for US30 for next week. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it and found it useful. If you have a particular bonus pair you want to see me do next week, or potentially another video, let me know in the comments down below. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It does really help the content out. If you haven't done already, subscribe to the channel, join the family if you haven't done already as well, But yeah, guys, I'll catch you all in the next video. Besides from that, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.